Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this evening of the District 5 Advisory Board. It is always a pleasure and an honor to share the room with such esteemed individuals. Thank you for taking time out of your evening. With that, we will officially call this meeting to order. Our first order of business will be the approval of the minutes. Approval of the agenda, I'm sorry, for March 4th, 2024. Should have all had an opportunity to review. With that being said, is there a motion on the floor for approval? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion shall carry unanimously. Next up, we will have the approval of the minutes from the February 5th, 2024 meeting. Take a second for consideration. After such consideration has been had, is there a motion on the floor for approval? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. The motion shall carry unanimously. Before we go into the depth of our agenda, we do have our newly elected mayor in our presence. Thank you for joining us. And at this particular time, Mayor, if you'd like to offer some words, the floor is yours.
Come up to the front, so it'll be easy for everyone to see.
You're on Facebook Live.
I see. Hello, friends on Zoom and our virtual world, and thanks to all of you here in our presence today. I love seeing when there are residents at District Advisory Board meetings. So I want to first say thank you very, very much, because we need greater community engagement. And when I see people in seats at DABs, that makes me really proud of our community. And I want more folks to be at these DAB meetings. And to the folks who are serving as DAB members, thank you very much for your service. I'm really grateful to serve alongside Councilmember J.B. Johnston. Today actually happens to be our 8th week since taking our oath of office. And
It's like 3 years.
You took the words right out of my mouth. No, it's been a whirlwind 2 months, and I'm really grateful that I'm part of a council of 7 individuals who I truly believe have a heart for serving our community. And so we make difficult decisions. We go through a lot of different challenges. And I just want you to know that you have a really great council member that cares about this community and District number 5. I am just excited to be able to uplift our community, share the good things that are happening, but also work alongside council members to work on the challenges to help our community. Everything we try to do is in the best interest of the city of Wichita, but we need input from community in order to make those best decisions. So when I see community members at the table wanting to give us ideas, how do we get to the better solutions and better outcomes? I believe that that's how we can make Wichita a better place. So again, I'm really grateful to serve in the role of mayor, and there's still a long road ahead, but currently we're working on 2 very big initiatives. Obviously, homelessness has become a big topic in our community, and it is a community-wide issue. Just in the month of January, we went up to Topeka to advocate for what we're calling a multi-agency center, or really it's a navigation center for individuals who are experiencing homelessness, trying to get them into one location, figuring out through caseworkers what the issues are and how we can help them really not just have sheltering, but eventually supportive housing, and then get them into our community as productive individuals in the city. So that is one aspect of what we're working on more of a legislative front. And then the other aspect is about safety. Thankfully, last week during our mayor's briefing on Thursday, the Wichita Police Department came and shared some statistics with us. And they told us, based off of data, that violent crime actually has been going down. Unfortunately, though, the number of homicides have gone up. And so that's what you see on local television news And so we're trying to help figure out what are things that we can do to try to not only continue bringing the number of violent crimes down, but crime in general down, and help us get the number of homicides down. One of those things is, if you saw in the month of January, we had issues with youth violence. And so we're trying to figure out ways to help our youth in our community connect to the resources that are available in Wichita through nonprofits and even through the city of Wichita. And one of those solutions is through employment. The city of Wichita hosts our The Way to Work program, which is a summer job program. And we also try to collaborate with community partners. So the YMCA has a teen job prep program, and the Workforce Centers also has their own teen job or youth employment program. And the three entities are trying to figure out ways to not just provide opportunities for young people during the summertime, but we're trying to figure out ways where we can really engage them throughout the year. Because we know that young people who have things to do, especially a job where they can earn, that keeps them out of trouble, and we want that. We want our kids to have productive out of classroom experiences. And so I'm just really glad that our community members have told us that these are two of the main buckets that they're focusing on, and we want to help elevate those topics, again, homelessness and helping our youth specifically with employment. So those are the two things that I'm currently really delving deep on, and I'm just glad that, again, I have a council that wants to work on solutions. And I know that there are more problems or challenges in our community, and we try to tackle them at our council meetings and every single day. So we don't stop. And so if you guys have any feedback for us, any ideas for us, we are available. Our emails are public. We're here. We're accessible to you all. And so again, thank you for the opportunity to just share a little bit.
No telephone.
I'm just talking from my heart and from what we've been working on. It's really a lot of, I want you to know that what JV and the council members do, this is in addition to their jobs in our community. And so thank you to JV and our council members for really, it's a service to our community, and he's deep in meetings a lot, not just in community, but at City Hall. And so I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Well, I'll sit back there and listen into the.
Okay.
Thank you. Mayor Wu, you are a shining light of positivity for our city. So thank you for joining us on this evening. We will get back into our regularly scheduled program. To the public agenda, there are not any scheduled items. Off agenda items, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak, did not have the opportunity to sign up, but you would like to speak on something that is not on the current agenda?
Could you do me a favor? Would you explain to me what this council does? My first time here.
They're an advisory board to me as members of District 5, this district. They'll advise me on different issues and things. We'll bring different subjects to this board and get some give and take, and to help make decisions on how to vote at city council. For instance, last month, brought up the campaign finance laws. We had a robust discussion about that from legal people in the audience. And they voted to keep them, revert it back to the way it was, to follow Kansas state law. So that would be a good example of what this board does. Purely advisory, no binding action. But they really do help. Yeah.
Thank you for the question, sir. Right now, recommended action is to receive and file. Is there a motion? There's a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, the same sign. The motion shall carry unanimously. At this particular point in time, we will hear from our outstanding city councilman, Mr. JB Johnston. Sir, the floor is yours.
Outstanding over only 8 weeks.
That's what we do.
I think that's a little too early. Just give you a little update on what we've been doing. We had a workshop. Part of that workshop was the arts. Part of it was beginning the budgeting process for the city. So some interesting facts you may or may not know. Of the whole entire budget for the whole city, the police is 38% of the budget. Police department. Fire department is 21% of the budget. Public works is 12% of the budget. So those three entities account for 71% of our budget. So there's not a lot of wiggle room of what we can do. This year in 2024 is projected to have a $2 million surplus, basically break even. In 2025, the projections a negative $5 million, 26 negative $9 million, 27 negative $9 million, and 28 negative $9 million. So working on those numbers, we do have quite a bit of savings, so we're okay. We just have to keep an eye on that to make sure we're a balanced budget. Property taxes account for 35% of our revenue. Sales tax, 14% of our revenue. Franchise fees, 20%. And we also have big interest earnings income off our savings, which gives us a lot of money to work with. And if that goes away, then we won't have that for the budget either. So I will say that we do have 2 big votes coming tomorrow. Should be a short meeting, right, Mayor? Probably not. One is the campaign finance issue. I'm sure we'll have a lot of speakers on that. The second one is the proposed apartments at Waterman and Washington. I'm for the apartments. I'm just not for tying up city asset like a parking lot for up to 60 years. I'm adamantly against that. We all remember the $1 an acre for the ballpark. We don't want to get in that position again. So, and it could be something similar to that. That's why I'm adamantly against that. So we'll see how that works out. I'm also, to be honest with you, concerned about the tax abatement for the property. There's pluses and minuses on that. You know, that property hasn't had anything on it for 70 years. So we'd be getting basically $16,000 a year property taxes on that property for less, probably less than that even back then. But right now we're getting $16,000-ish on that property. The way the developer has it, he will continue to pay that $16,000 during the tax payment. So I can't find another apartment project that has had a tax abatement that are luxury apartments. I do have a little heartache on that. On the other hand, after 10 years, we will have 1.3 million coming in for property taxes, which the cities will be several $100,000 of that. So that's a Lily Mayor Wu said there's some tough decisions. So that's some of the things we wrangle with. You know, we have to be easy to work with the city, but we don't want to give everything away. So what's that balance between those two? So that's what we'll try to come up with tomorrow. And my wife says it's like making sausage. So it's not pretty when it's going in, but hopefully it comes out okay. So hopefully that's the case. Does anyone have any questions or anything from the board or from the audience?
Yeah, the tax abatement. I don't understand how that works.
Well, basically, they don't pay property taxes.
So by building this, putting up this building, they're gonna be paying property taxes, even though they're making a profit.
They would be making a presumably making a profit if they can rent them. And then they would not be paying property taxes. So for a period of
So
10 years,
the property owner would have to still pay the taxes that they currently pay for the property, just not the improvements to that property. So these property value, you would not capture until after 10 years.
yeah,
So I understand it, because if I improve my house, I pay property taxes on it right away. There's no abatement on my property taxes. So why are we giving them an abatement on their property tax?
that's what we struggle with. Now, the other side of that is, it's an empty lot. It's getting $16,000 a year. So if we don't do this, if the developer doesn't put the apartments on there, then we're gonna get $16,000 for the next maybe 70 more years. Whereas if they do put it on there, we don't get it, we get $16,000 a year for 10 years. Then after that, we get a lot more.
Who owns the property right now?
Paul Jackson. Paul Jackson, he's the head of the entity.
Some build the property.
He has investors that invest in it. So,
So it's in his best interest to bring the property.
yes, he's already bought the land. So, he's gonna do something with it.
Again, what I'm saying is if I improve my house, my property taxes go up right away.
Right,
I can't get an abatement on that.
right. Which I did my house this year. And mine will go up, will go up. You're
Mine
right.
already did.
Yep, yep. And to that point, that's why I struggle with it.
Well, how'd you come up with the 10 years then? I mean, is that negotiated or?
Staff, city staff, negotiate staff.
Well, it kind of sounds like you don't trust the city staff at the beginning. So why are you going with the 10 years? I mean, we had this conversation once before, on email. So.
We have to work through some things. Yeah, we do. Any other questions? So thank you. Again, Mayor Wu said, thank you for being here, and we really do appreciate it. I'd love to see this room packed every time. I really would. So would Tracy. So would Austin. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Johnson. Now we will roll into staff reports. We will have a report from Officer Perkins from Wichita Police Department. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Officer Perkins. I'm one of the community policing officers out west. West Wichita is broken down into 10 beats. I have two far west beats called 18 and 19. I'm sorry, 18 and 199. You guys are currently on 19 beat. It's just the way that we break up our police districts, I guess you would say. They don't always jive, I guess you would say, with the council districts, but this council or this district is all in Patrol West. District 6 is split between Patrol North and Patrol West. So it's a little easier to figure out crime statistics here, but I'm going to talk first about the statistics in DAB 5, since we are at DAB 5, and then some community events, some community info, and then have any questions that we have. So these are from January 1st to today, and I'm going to talk about what we call Part 1 crimes. As a police department, we have statistics which we call Part 1 crimes and Part 2 crimes. Part 1 crimes are what we send to the FBI to basically say how safe is a community. And what those are homicide, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, larceny, or theft, and auto theft. And then we have all of our Part 2 crimes, vandalism, and anything else, simple battery, and things like that. So we've had one homicide in District 5, and it's very publicized, and that was where a mother in the 8400 block of West Central in an apartment complex shot their 15-year-old son. That person has been arrested. That's what we call cleared. When we look at crime statistics in reference to homicides, we look into what's called a clearance. That's what we're concerned about, a clearance rate. So like when BTK was arrested, we had a clearance rate that was over 100% that year for the homicide, because even though we had unsolved homicides in the 70s and 80s, we cleared like 10 of those that year. So if we had 30 homicides, we cleared 28 of those, and then we cleared 10 more. Obviously we cleared more homicides than we have. Just statistics, as everybody knows, statistics, you get to do what with them, you skew them your way, right? But anyway, these are pretty solid there. So we had one homicide, 9 sexual offenses, and this could be anything. We start hearing about that. We probably think of rapes, window peeping, indecent exposures, indecent liberties, and electronic solicitation. There's no stranger cases on these other than like the indecent exposure. If you're driving down the road and you have a homeless person that's urinating outside of a business and you call that in, we're going to classify that actually as a sexual offense. So, but they're exposing themselves as they're using the restroom. So, but like I said, we had no rapes, and the stranger cases that we had were electronic solicitation. Kids these days like to send all sorts of pictures, and we don't have to use our imagination about those pictures. That's where those cases come from. And the window peeping. We had 3 robberies, 1 commercial robbery, and 2 individual robberies. Like I said, these statistics are for 2 months. Those are pretty good statistics for an entire district. You know, there's only 6 of them in all of Wichita, so we've only had 3 for 2 whole months. Getting to some higher statistics now, doesn't mean that it's bad or that they're out of control. 24 aggravated assaults. I point a gun at you, maybe I stab you but don't kill you, something to that nature, hit you, break an eyeball, socket, break your nose or something else like that. So it's not just a simple assault, it's kind of aggravated in nature. But of those, 15 were domestic violence related. Known victim, known suspect, doesn't make it any worse, but it's better to know. It's like if there's a rape in your neighborhood, that's very concerning. But it's not as concerning if you know that it was a husband who raped their wife. It wasn't somebody who kicked in the door, came in the middle of the night, like that. And 4 of them were road rage incidents. Road rage, point a gun at somebody, that qualifies as one of our aggravated assaults. We had 15 burglaries, that's breaking into a structure, 6 commercial and 9 residential. We get to some of our higher stuff, 63 larceny cases, and that's anything. Somebody came and stole the flower pot off my front porch, to they broke into my car or anything else like that. That's not shoplifting. This is something that is not a shoplifting case. We had 84 of those shoplifting cases, and 25 auto thefts. Auto thefts tend to go up in the winter. People don't like to drive cold cars, so they warm up their cars, go into Quick Trip. Even people that have driven their cars for 10, 12 miles go into Quick Trip, leave their car warm because they still want to get in a warm car, come out, car is gone because they left it running. I can't say auto thefts are down from when I first came on. A lot of different ways. Auto starts on our cars now, different ways, chips in our keys to where they won't start, and like that. So basically 224 total Part 1 crimes, compared to other areas of the city. This is definitely down compared to other districts of the city. Anybody have any questions on just statistics? Yes.
Yeah, we live in a new area on 135th where they're building, and they have a rash of, not in the homes of the people that are living in, but a lot of them that are being built. They break out the windows and the doors and stuff like that.
Okay, that'd be a vandalism and So from these statistics, it's not in here. Anytime, anywhere you have houses under construction, you have things that are going on, nobody there at night. Other builders or other individuals, I guess I should say more, want that property more than somebody else. There's nobody watching it. Vandalism, kids getting in, breaking stuff like that. And a lot of times, places that are under construction, those builders don't make reports. They come in, somebody had taken the stove or whatever else like that. They just, wrap that up as part of doing business and they go out and get another stove. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Most of the time, what we see in those is the subcontractors who leave their trailers out there over the weekend. And then they come back and either part of their stuff that's inside is gone or everything is gone. Not saying that we don't get other reports like that. So, I can tell the community policing officer in the area to disseminate some information, about that area to, the third and fourth shift officers, and maybe if it's, free, they can drive through there. So, I know I'm long-winded, but yes.
Last month, the officer reported that there's been a significant increase in shoplifting in New Market Square, particularly Walmart. Is that continuing? Do you know?
Walmart, I honestly can't say because that's not my response area. I know that New Market Square is the majority of DAB 5 or 19 beats thefts. Certain retail shops more than others. Menards, Walmart. No, not really. Don't get a lot. Personally, I can't remember the time I've had one from Best Buy. Right by Lowe's, the clothing store. I know somebody knows. Academy Sports, yes. So, those are the ones that I hear most of the time. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about that in my other stuff out here. Not a lot back here. Tomorrow, we're gonna have a career day. All the community policing officers are gonna be out at Peterson Elementary. Last week, homeless. I'm not gonna use the word as a problem in here, but we have some issues with them being under bridges. Under bridges are bad. They start fires, can possibly damage the integrity of that bridge. We did a cleanup underneath the Central and Big Ditch Bridge. They actually picked up 5 tons of trash and I don't remember how many shopping carts. But I'm surprised Walmart still had shopping carts in their store. Saturday, March 16th, we're gonna have, of course, St. Patrick's Day. It's gonna be in Delano. The streets are gonna be blocked off, not some major thoroughfares, like when we have runs, but just be aware that if you're down there, you might have some street closings, might have to go somewhere else, or it's a good day if you wanna go out and attend. We're doing our next Second Chance Thursday, if anybody doesn't know about that. We clear warrants for individuals. They can pay fines. They can actually contact people at our event to try to get their driver's license back. It's not one of these where we tell people to come in, you want a free TV, and then we take them to jail. We try not to do that. Some warrants are not forgivable. We have to take them to jail. But these are ones that somebody has a parking ticket or driving warrant or some other type of warrant we can address right there. We can give them a new court date, or like I said, they can go right there and pay the court. And then they don't have that warrant hanging over their head. We give them a new court date. In reference to the homeless camps or any homeless camps, we as the police department just can't do that by ourselves. We do have the hot team, the homeless outreach team out there. But if citizens see a camp, and there's a lot to it, whether it's on public property or city property, and I'm not gonna go too much into that, but if you guys know of a homeless camp that is setting up, if you guys can copy, or I will send an email out to email drwilliams@wichita.gov. That's Officer Darren Williams. He's Patrol West. He's kind of our homeless guy out here, where he's gonna go around and address the homeless camps. And then in reference to the thefts that are going on, kind of term that as retail theft. We are gonna start doing a special assignment here, either at the tail end of this week, next week, or soon, we're going to start addressing some retail thefts with some special assignments. We're not gonna go into how we're gonna go about those, or what we're gonna do, but we are gonna start addressing some retail theft. Anybody have anything? Yes,
You mentioned community policing. Who's our community policing officer? Is there just one assigned?
well, it would depend on where you live. Anything north of 17th Street and west of Ridge Road, that would be Officer Lori Kimry. Her email would be lkimry@wichita.gov. Anything south of 17th, that would be me.
South 17th.
South of 17th,
South
yeah.
17th.
All the way out to the city limits, all the way to the north city limits. So,
We've never seen you in our area.
so I'm sure I have been.
Are you guys gonna move the west district to by northwest?
Yeah, that's gonna be years down the road and, but, my understanding is we're still going through the purchasing of that land. I don't want to say it's a done deal, but I think it's probably a done deal. We're moving our Patrol West substation, which has been at Central and Elder for 33 or 34 years, to a new station that's gonna be built there at 13th and Country Acres, by Northwest High.
They're getting ready for the RFP to put it out, pretty soon here.
Yeah. So.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all. Next, we will hear from Wichita Fire Department. We have Battalion Chief Ritter. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Floor is yours.
Right. Well, good evening. My name is Pete Ritter. I'm the battalion chief that's on duty today. Battalion 4, there's 4 battalions amongst the city, separated geographically, basically. So Battalion 4 covers basically majority of DAB 4 and DAB 5. I was at DAB 4 just a little bit ago on my way here. Apartment fire came in. I got dinged on it, but it's a small fire. Their initial units knocked it out, so I'm running a little bit late, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It's kind of a hectic little trip over here. Anyhow, normally I end with a safety message, but tonight I want to start with a safety message because it's a big one and I don't want to forget it. Saturday night, Sunday morning, time change. Time change means replace your batteries and your smoke alarms. That's a big thing. I can't stress it enough. Smoke detectors save lives. It really does happen. And now's a good time just as a refresher and a reminder to replace your batteries. So, and if you need assistance or anything like that, call Wichita Fire Department downtown. And I'm sure we can get somebody over there to help do what we can do to make sure that happens.
We're still calling 911, right?
Yeah, let's not tie up 911 with that. So, so that's my safety message. I just wanted to leave with that in case I forget. So we'll kind of move on here. End of January, beginning of February, we had additional 11 recruits hit the floor. We had a grant come through, building up the department, which is a huge win for us. We had 11 more fire recruits hit the floor, and they're on the streets now, working with the crews, side by side with the crews now. So it's been a success so far. The retention has been very high. We're having as many new fire recruits and stuff that have come on in the last year and a half. So that program is actually working out for us. Currently, our training department is working on a 2024 officer development program. So what that means is you come on as a recruit, you kind of go through your career, you get through your recruit year, get your yellow helmet, your yellow helmet for a couple of years, you start driving an apparatus, you kind of just evolve through the ranks of the fire department. Well, we've never really had anything formally in place for officer development. So those younger firefighters, now that they're starting to become mid-season firefighters, they start looking at being an officer. This is a development program that we're putting together to start working with those people to provide a structure to get them developed for an officer. So when they are ready to take the promotional process, they have an understanding of we're laying the groundwork for them, to provide success for them. Speaking of that, on Wednesday, yes, I believe this Wednesday, is the 2024 captain lieutenant promotional process. The guys individuals that have been doing this, have been studying for it since the beginning of the year. A lot of long hours. Their family members are probably tired of it as well as they are. They're ready for this to be over. But they take the written test on Wednesday, I believe it is. The top 40 lieutenant candidates will move on to the assessment center. The top 30 captain candidates will move on to the assessment center. The assessment center could be anything. It's more of a hands-on. The written test is more of the book smarts kind of. The assessment center is more hands-on, push you through scenarios, see how you respond. That's coming up. So the written, like I said, will be Wednesday, and then the assessment center will be in April. And then by May 1st, we'll have the actual promotional list that comes out. And as people retire or they, move on, this is a pool of future officers candidates that we can pull from. Last month, we started a new software. We implemented a new software for reports. In the past, it was called Firehouse Reporting. Anytime we made a house fire, difficulty breathing, anytime our truck went out, we had a report we had to come back and complete. Firehouse became old. It wasn't cooperating with the new technology. We now have Fireworks is the name of the fire report guy. So I guess there's a theme. I don't know. So, but we're kind of learning that. We're tweaking that out a little bit, making it work what's best for us. We're able to make it where we can collect data off of it and everything else to really start building the department and everything. Like I said, District 5 was pretty quiet end of January to February in the time frame. We didn't have any structure fires inside the district. We did have a total of 205 alarms inside District 5. 3 of them were fire alarms, but they weren't actually investigated by a fire investigator. So they're small to minimal, nothing to dollar loss damage or anything along that lines. 100 medicals were responded to. And then the other 102 calls basically were service calls or other types of, juvenile locked in a car, non-medical, non-fire related calls. So, but as far as last month, it was pretty quiet. District 4 did have a couple of them. I know this you guys kind of borderline with them. One I'm going to talk about was the 1800 block of South Prescott, which is the southwest corner of Kellogg and Mays Road. It's kind of the isolated area right now. Station 17 was first on scene to report basically a fire started in the backyard, burned up to the house, got up through the soffit into the attic, came in as people trapped. So we had a larger fire response than normal go out that way. Everybody made it out, no injuries, no one was hurt. We were able to get the fire put out pretty quick. The reason why I bring that up is Pawnee and Mays Road is the new site for the future fire station. That Pawnee and Mays Road station, when that opens up, that'd have been about a 90-second response. So that is a huge, huge victory for us to get that, because that area is developing just as much as the Northwest is, the duplexes and everything else that we've all seen. Kind of go on to brighter and better, even better news. See, I got nothing but good news. And that's a good thing. I like to say that. We took in possession of 2 new fire engines and 1 new fire truck. The truck has the platform on it. It's the ladder with the platform on it. They both went out east. That's my bad news. But that's all right. We'll get their hand-me-downs, I guess. But no, it's needed. We need the apparatus. But basically, the first engine went to Station 15, which is at Lincoln and Rock Road. And then the other engine went to Station 22, which is the Pawnee and hydraulic area. They're Walsall hydraulic. And the truck also went to Station 22 because it's a engine truck station. So those are going to be going on track within the next week or 2. They're getting the radios in, getting the guys trained on them, getting the drivers trained on them, getting people up to speed on everything. 2024, looks like we were trying to add on an additional brush truck, and which goes out and does a wildland firefighting, grass fires and hardened, like, the big ditch or the floodway. If that catches on fire, brush trucks they're built for that, if they can be deployed if need be, or heavy wooded area, something that our squads, the pickups with the pumps on them can't quite do. These trucks can do it. And as well as it's the Urban Search and Rescue, or USAR tractor trailer. That will go to Station 4, which is our heavy rescue station, or where one of our rescues is stationed at. And this is a collapse trailer for basically building collapses, vehicle into a building, tornadoes, anything that might have heavy collapse hazards or anything. This carries the cribbing, the tools, everything that the the rescue teams basically fine tuned for this is helps carry their equipment. So that'll be, hopefully we can get that in by the end of 2024. So if not, I'm sure it'll be beginning 2025. So other than that, I've already said my safety message. Is there any other questions from anybody?
Any word on the new location for the District 5 fire station?
Well, let's sit down and talk. Like to be at Country Acres area. No, but that's, I know there's one being speculated there somewhere on North Ridge Road. It's on the wish list. Because the west side, like I said, the duplexes and everything is just expanding. It's eating up, you know, I mean, we're busy. West side has gotten really busy. Another thing I want to talk, when I was on my way over here, the apartment fire that I kind of got sidetracked on, it was a board up, it's a 3-story board up apartment fire. We are having a lot of problems with the board ups. So we are reaching out to the MABC, the other organizations, agencies to assist with securing these structures to try to keep, whether they be homeless, trying to stay warm, cooking fire, just vandals, whatever it might be, we're trying to get those secured. Because right now that has been, majority of our fires have been board ups. But like I said, out west, we don't have the problem as much right now, but as you can see, it's kind of moving this way. So, but other than that, so if you see something suspicious like on a board up, I was driving down the road the other day, Maple and Tyler, just to the west on the north side, right behind Harpwell. There's a little house there, a little brick house, and the door standing wide open on it. It's about 10 o'clock at night. Got back to the station, got the address, sent the email down to our, the CRD division there, Community Risk Management Division, and they reached out to the owner of it, and it's been demolished now. As I just rode by there and it's gone, it's leveled. I was like, well, I wish we could have trained on it. But that's another thing. But other than that, that's kind of what I have for you guys tonight. I'm not as much information as WPD does, but like I said, I try to bring the good news. So is there any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be here shortly. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you. Next up, we will have our public library report from our Westlink branch manager, Tracy Partridge. And Tracy, I just have to tell you, even when you're not here with us, like when you're like out remote, we feel your presence. And so it is always an honor to have you back here physically with us. So I just wanted to let you know that, or appreciate it, and please.
Thank you, Mont. Lamont is incredibly positive, and we appreciate that immensely. So as Lamont indicated, I'm Tracy Partridge. I'm the manager of the Westlink Branch Library, and I am thrilled to be here because for the past 2 months, I was not able to. The first thing that I want to share is how we are doing with our Westlink remodel and expansion project, because we're actually in the midst of a big project. We are going from a 10,000 square foot facility to actually a 17,000 square foot facility, which will have a lot more meeting rooms, which is desperately needed. Study rooms, maker space, actually ideally a teen gaming space, outdoor areas for children and adults, just a lot of really wonderful things, and a drive-through. So that's where we're going. The progress that we actually made this month is they gutted the interior of the existing facility. They tore off the back portion of our roof. They actually knocked down the back wall. Then what they did with the existing pad that we have, they've actually dug channels in it for future plumbing and electrical. And then they have laid the footing for the actual expansion, the 7,000 square feet that we're adding. And then they tore down a wall in the front, which is actually going to allow us to do the drive-through. So Key Construction has been incredibly busy, and we're incredibly grateful for the efforts that they're making, because we really want to get back there as our customers do. So that's the first thing. And the thing that we're most excited about at the Westlink branch, but we have a lot of additional things that are happening at the library system, and we're always very excited about them. So we have the Academy Award Short Film Festival that actually started on March 2nd and it runs through March 9th. We've been doing that for over 30 years. That gives citizens of Wichita an opportunity to see the short nominees for the Academy Awards. So they have all-day screenings and then they also have like breakout sessions where one library might do documentaries, another library might do live action and actually animation. So if you're interested in that, and before working for the library, I would say that I didn't necessarily have a lot of interest in that, but then actually after sitting in them, they're really good. They are actually very worth your time and it's free, which is absolutely awesome. So you can go to wichitalibrary.org/Academy Awards and you can get a complete listing of where they are playing and what they are playing. So that's the first thing that I wanted to mention. Another thing that I wanted to mention is the Wichita Public Library is all about reading, which is not surprising. One thing that we try and do is we try and get as many people as possible in Wichita and surrounding communities to read the same book every year. Because we feel that if we read the same book and we talk about it, it just helps us learn as a community. So this year, the book that we are doing is actually They're There by Tommy Orange. It actually follows the lives of 12 characters who are in Native communities as they make their way to the Big Oakland Powwow. And we are going to have a 6-week program on that where we do a lot of book discussions, but where we also bring in speakers, etc., and do just lots of diverse programming. Our kickoff for that event is actually March 16th at 2 at our Advanced Learning Library. The next thing that I want to mention is the Wichita Public Library has something called a Library of Things. So people associate libraries with books, as they should, but we have a lot more than books. And some of the things that we have in our Library of Things collections are hotspots and Chromebooks and anatomical models and telescopes and microscopes and binoculars and other things that I can't think of the top of my head. But we're adding something new, which I'm incredibly excited about. They're called Tony boxes, and they're actually for like our littlest library users, so little preschoolers. And basically what they are these little boxes that are like little radios. And they have these little characters that you put on top. And when you put the character on top, then it actually will like sing songs, read stories, etc. There are actually over 12 different ones. They have like Disney princesses, they have Paw Patrol, they have kind of like an alphabet one, so all sorts of really cool ones. And it's just easier for little kids to actually use. And there are no screens involved. It's all for listening. And then that actually will help little kids with their literacy skills. So we're really excited to actually offer those. We actually started that today and we actually already have very high hold lists for all of those. So that's exciting. Another thing I wanted to mention, the library has a book bus, and that book bus goes out to different areas in the community in order to bring books to communities, like sections of our community that don't have as much access to a local library. Okay, and they're kind of switching up their schedule, and they're visiting places like Walmart. They're going to visit a Walmart. They're also going to visit a YMCA, but just they're switching it up. They started with just parks and events, and they're just kind of like adding some new locations. If you are interested in seeing like where the book bus is going to be, you can actually go to our website and see that. And then the final thing that I want to mention is spring break is right around the corner. We are getting ready to have a whole bunch of awesome free activities for kids and teens. And some of the activities are actually going to be an opportunity for people to get Eclipse classes. They're going to be space-oriented programs. So if you are interested in anything like that, if you have children, we are going to have like some Eclipse programs during the spring break week, and there will be an opportunity to get free glasses for participants. Okay, and the Eclipse is actually in April. Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Yeah.
Can you remind me what the name of the boxes are for your
They're
preschool?
Tony's.
Tony's.
Yes, and go to our website and go to services and the Library of Things. And at the very bottom are the ones on children's, and then they have them all listed, and they're really cool.
Thank
Okay,
you.
yes.
Just a suggestion, on the bus, about whether it goes to some of the senior centers.
And that's an excellent suggestion. What's interesting about the bus is it's primarily like the materials in it are targeted at children. They have a lot of material for kids and less actually for adults.
And
Yeah.
you might mention the genealogy program you have up there.
We do have our genealogy and local history section at our advanced learning library. Yes, and it's a really good center. It's run by Michelle Inky.
Is that gonna be moving part of it, where you have access to it from the Westlake branch?
That's an excellent question. The resources, like, they have resources that will stay at the downtown library. But then there's actually digital resources that you have by visiting a Wichita Public Library location that are associated with genealogy and local history. But then also that you can access from home if you have a Wichita Public Library card. And if you go actually to our website and then go to research and learn, they will actually list the ones that we have, and then they will list whether or not you have to be in a Wichita Public Library facility or you can access it from home.
Well, that's what I wondered about the ancestry.com, because
Yeah.
that's only available through the Delta
That's-
branch right now.
That's actually only available on site. Yes, that is the truth. But then they have other ones which actually are available from home. But they are not the ancestry one, like you mentioned, like Heritage Quest and things like that, and Fold, which is a military one. Yeah.
Or are they gonna have that available at the Westlake branch?
You have those actually at the Westlink branch, but you also honestly have those from home.
Not the ancestry though.
The ancestry one I would have to look at, but the Heritage Quest and the Fold, you do. But then there's others too. Any other questions?
Do you
Yes,
expect the library to be completed?
I like to say sometime in 2025. That is very vague.
Very base.
Yes, because, okay,
Do we have our meetings there when we?
yes, that's my goal. I hope that's your goal.
It is.
Okay, let's have fun. Okay, but sometime in 2025, and then actually I say, and it's gonna be wonderful when it happens. And then today, I had a customer and they sounded exactly like me. They said, when are you doing it? Sometime in 2025. And then they said, and it's gonna be wonderful when it happens. It's like, it was awesome.
I've heard January 25.
She told me
I
June.
would say, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Don't think it's gonna happen?
No, I appreciate that. I'm gonna say sometime in 2025.
Maybe you could spur them on a little bit.
I have been encouraging them. I brought them goods, like baked goods. Baked goods and things, the construction company. And then they showed me that they had emptied my tub, because I brought them a big old tub that said thank you on it. And then they had emptied it of treats in like one meeting.
One time.
Yeah, they
Back to
did.
that.
It was a lot of treats too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Thank
then,
you.
any other questions? Yes.
I just want to mention that I checked out a radon detector,
Yes.
and we had radon and it's been taken care of, but I thought that was very helpful because those were difficult to find.
Wonderful. And that is one of our library of things that I could not think of off the top of my head. So you expanded. Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate that. And that is a very valuable service. And yes, okay. I started to say some other things that were coming, but I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna keep it. Announce it next month, maybe. Okay, anything else? Okay, I just want to say one other thing. Trevor, did you say that this was your last meeting?
last meeting?
Oh, well, I'm just gonna say that I'm gonna miss you, and I really appreciate your commitment and humor. Okay, you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Next up, we will have our Park and Recreation Department report. We will hear from Gary Ferris.
You don't see Gary.
No Gary Ferris.
That's gonna be a quick one, isn't it? Okay, we give an update on the dog park. Just before the meeting, Lamont and I were both on the committee to select the artist for the dog park. So, and the winner was Conrad Snyder. So it's a bronze, what is it, about total of 6 feet tall at the base?
6 foot, 7 foot, yeah.
6 feet tall at the base, bronze. It looks really nice. Dog, a little bit of whimsical, like a bird or something on top of it. I think it had Lamont's idea to have him present 3 proposals instead of just trying to pick the artist from blank. So got 3 proposals, and there were 2 of them that I think we both all agreed were really good. And picked his, so something that the West Side should be proud of. So we want to make it look nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it'll be a beautiful addition to not only Country Acres, but a beautiful addition to the West Side as well. We, for the longest, dog park has been something that has been a topic of conversation. So now we'll have a dog park, and I think we'll have some beautiful art to go along with it. So
Is this gonna be a statue? And have revisions made to make sure it doesn't get stolen.
The bases are really big on it. It's gonna take a second to saw that thing off.
Just a lift truck, you put it back in the truck.
Yeah, it might be pretty heavy.
With that being said, recommended action is to receive and file all staff reports. Is there a motion on the floor? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Outstanding, the motion shall carry unanimously. Now we will move to new business. We'll have a discussion on solar energy in the county and the moratorium. We will hear from Ms.
Momita Kundu.
Momita Kundu.
Yes, Momita Kundu.
Momita Kundu.
Mhm.
I'm in there. I appreciate it. The floor is yours, Ms. Lady.
Thank you. I'll just take a minute to put this on, see how it works. Okay, good, thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is Momita Kundu from Planning Department, and I would be updating you on the proposed changes of the Unified Zoning Code pertaining to large-scale utility solar systems.
But just to be clear, this is Sedgwick County,
Yes,
not the city.
it would be an opportunity for you to review the information and provide any feedback or ask any questions if you have. Just a quick disclaimer, we currently do not have any application and are not considering any specific application as a part of this process. This is a review process of the solar regulations in general. And also it is important to note that the process is related to utility or commercial scale solar and which are mostly standalone projects and not accessory uses where solar is part of a larger development. For an example, like the one we have at the Mays High School, which is an accessory to the principal use of the school, or solar at the Sedgwick County Zoo over here. This is an overview of this presentation. I'll give you a status update, talk about the process, the public input, the themes that came out of the public input process, and an update on the meetings the staff attended so far. Let's go over the existing conditions, regulations pertaining to large-scale utility solar. As you all know, City of Wichita and the Sedgwick County share a unified zoning code and a comprehensive plan. Both of them refers to specific regulations of solar under the renewable energy systems. The unified solar energy conversion system is listed as a conditional use and requires the applicant to submit 20 supplemental information like glare analysis, height of the structures, etc. The review process includes hearings at the citizen advisory boards, planning commissions, and county commissions. And in the process, additional conditions on a case-by-case basis can be added on. Comprehensive plan also provides some general guidance about the solar energy conversion system, like selecting appropriate locations, the need for established design and performance standards. And it also talks about protecting the viability of the existing cities and their future growth. Let's talk about the process and where we are in terms of the schedule. We are currently here in the process where we have gathered feedbacks from different DABs and CABs. We have presented it to the Board of County Commissioners on February 6th. On February 15th, 2024, the Advanced Plan Committee reviewed the draft text amendments and recommended changes to the Unified Zoning Code for the full MAPC. On February 22nd, MAPC approved the recommended changes to the Unified Zoning Code for consideration of the Board of County Commissioners. And on March 6th, which is tomorrow, it's going to be presented at the Board of County Commissioners. The moratorium ends on March 20th. Here are the staff reports that have been prepared all through the process. They are pretty comprehensive. It includes a report on the solar town hall event that was held on November 16th, a solar survey report based on the online survey, which went live at the end of November, the best practices report and the solar public input report. The last one has been updated very frequently, and you can access all of them online on our website. Staff has done an extensive research on the solar best practices by looking into the available academic literature on this topic and looked into the other communities throughout the country and the state. Public input has been a very significant driving factor in this whole process, and let's get into that a little bit more. We had an online survey released in mid-November. Also in November, a town hall meeting was held, which was very well attended, and a lot of feedback was gathered at that point of time. Also, we have received considerable amount of in-person comments, emails, and letters on this topic. There has been more than 100 letters and emails, and all comments have been compiled into a public input report, which you can access through our website. All the information from the public input have been boiled down to these specific topics or the themes: the urban development and growth, decommissioning, groundwater contamination or water quality. And in mid-December, we took those to the Advanced Plan Committee, which decided on these 4 themes to the additional research and discussions. And they were again, urban development and growth, decommissioning, groundwater contamination or water quality, setbacks, size, and configuration. In mid-December, so far, we have taken all these 4 themes and looked into the existing code and the comprehensive plan guidance and considered all the public inputs we have received so far, researched the best practices and what other communities have been doing. And we have explored our potential options through this process. Again, just to reiterate, we are looking for possible changes to both Unified Zoning Code and the Comprehensive Plan. Unified Zoning Code is a specific language any applicant would be referring to when they are submitting any potential application for a potential large-scale utility solar project. Comprehensive Plan, on the other hand, looks more like a long-range plan that takes us to 2035. So any potential language changes coming out of the Comprehensive Plan would be more general than the Unified Zoning Code. I'll go through these themes individually. The first is the decommissioning. These are the recommendations that came out of our late December and January Advanced Plan Committee meetings. The recommendations for decommissioning include removal of solar equipment should be at a depth specified by the ordinance, which is 3 to 4 feet. Financial assurance will be provided by the owner or operator in the form of a surety bond or a letter of credit. Plan shall include the length of time needed to complete the decommissioning. Applicant shall provide a statement that owner or operator will notify the city or county in advance of the decommissioning. In the comprehensive plans, no changes were recommended by the Advanced Plan Committee. When we presented this to the Board of County Commissioner meeting on February 6th, the following feedback on the possible changes to the solar regulation came back to us. They wanted more detail on the decommissioning guarantee, and they don't care much about the letter of credit, and wanted more guaranteed financial assurance. They also suggested that it should include protections to ensure that the guarantee transfers with the ownership. The county should be notified if the project was sold or the ownership changes. Disposing of solar panels properly and not to be left within the Sedgwick County boundary. They also wanted to make sure the property owners are protected, especially if the company goes out of business. They had general concerns about environmental impact, and they also wanted to have a hard date for when the decommissioning will start. The next theme is the groundwater and contamination. The Advanced Plan Committee recommended these two items to be added to the Unified Zoning Code. They are as follows: requiring pre-construction, periodic and post-construction soil and groundwater testing within 90 days of substantial removal of any portion of the system. Zoning application to include list of construction materials to be reviewed by the Director of Sedgwick County Environmental Resources and HHW for recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners. The MAPC Advanced Plan Committee didn't recommend any changes to the comprehensive plan for groundwater and contamination and water quality. The BOCC also had the following comments on this topic. They wanted to ensure that the appropriate ground cover to prevent erosion. They were concerned about the contamination and reached the consensus on the proposed theme. The next one is the urban development and growth. This is the map for 2035 urban growth areas. The darker colors depict the city limits and the lighter colors are the urban growth areas. So if you ask what is an urban growth area, it depicts the anticipated long-term growth patterns for the cities of Sedgwick County. These areas are not binding in nature and serve as reasonable indication as to where the future extension might happen in terms of public infrastructure, services, and corporate limits by 2035. So any of the potential application received within this urban area of influence will go through a following process. The respective city's planning commission will be notified by the planning department about the application, and they can review and provide their recommendations to the MAPC. MAPC would then hear the case with the small city's recommendation, and next it would go to the Board of County Commissioners for voting. If the small city recommendation is in denial, then 4 out of 5 BOCC votes are required for the approval. So this is our current process, just to know that the cities can provide their comments throughout the process in terms of letters, resolutions, and verbal testimony. There was a discussion about a ban on solar projects within 3 to 5 miles of the urban growth area. So we tried to look into that. This is a map that has been provided by Inevergy, which indicates the pink areas are the 3-mile buffers around the urban growth boundaries. And this is the map we came up with after discussion with the Advanced Plan Committee meeting, and it shows the 1-mile buffer around the urban growth areas. And in this, the pink is also the buffers around the cities. On this, we received the recommendations that no changes are required. And what contributed to this decision after all the discussion were these contributing factors: that they were comfortable with the existing process. The conditional use process provides enough flexibility to the cities, and they could indicate whether or not a large-scale utility would be a good fit for their community. And there were plenty of opportunities all throughout this process for the cities to provide their input. No changes were recommended for the comprehensive plan on this topic. But the BOCC had specific comments for the urban development and growth. They wanted specific rules in the Unified Zoning Code stating where solar is allowed, less complex and more rigid rules for that. They were not in favor of solar in the urban growth areas. They desired for applicants to understand and respect the areas of influence. The solar provides economic opportunity for the property owners, and they were not in favor of 1 or 3-mile solar ban. There was discussion about the accessory and principal uses and how it applies to the solar unified zoning code requirements. Also, there was a discussion about the unified zoning code definition of solar energy conversion system and encouraged the MAPC Advanced Plan Committee to review it to ensure that it meets the community needs. Our fourth theme is size and configuration, and there has been several subtopics to it, which has been discussed. We'll go one by one through them. The first is the setback. So they came up with a recommendation of no changes to the unified zoning code. And this recommendation was based on the fact that there were enough opportunities to put an additional condition if imposed on a case-by-case basis using the existing conditional use process. No changes were recommended for the comprehensive plan as well. The BOCC had the following comments on the size and configuration. The current 40 feet setback requirement was not sufficient according to them. They had concerns about setback distance from residential properties. They had concerns about setback distance between the residential property and the battery storage. General questions arise regarding the right-of-way and the section line roads. General questions also arise regarding the federal and state properties and the setbacks. There were discussions about the applicability of the Unified Zoning Code to federal and state properties. The next is the size limit. There was no limit was recommended by the Advanced Plan Committee. The contributing factor to this was, again, owing to the additional opportunities to impose additional conditions through the conditional use process. There was a majority consensus of no changes to the comprehensive plan as well for this. The BOCC had several discussion topics on this, including that there was a concern about the spacing between the projects. They expressed concerns about the wildlife corridors. Thoughts were expressed that anything over one section that is 640 acres is probably excessive for the county. Questions arise about whether it would be appropriate to or advisable to measure size by amount of electricity generated or types of infrastructure installed. But the staff indicated that this was not a common measurement based on their research throughout the country and the state. The next theme is the height. The Advanced Plan Committee recommended height limit of solar panels to 25 feet with the ability for it to be increased during the conditional use process. And the contributing factors to this consensus was that the height of 25 feet is based on the best practices research and information collected from other communities, the ability to potentially increase the height of the solar panels through the conditional use process. There were no recommended changes to the comprehensive plan. Additional discussions were made on the topics of categorizing the solar projects on the basis of size from small to large projects. There were discussions about fire safety, and we talked to the Sedgwick County Fire Chief, and it came out of the discussion that an additional review from the fire chief may be required for the application. The BOCC wanted to ensure that the solar projects do not create an additional cost of burden for the fire district for fire training and equipment and other costings. There was also a general discussion at the BOCC meeting that the property owner's signature must be required for the zoning application in Kansas. So here are the next steps in this process right now, and these are the significant dates. Again, tomorrow we do have a presentation at the Board of County Commissioners, and the moratorium expires on March 20th. And I'll stand for any questions if you have.
I think it's Wednesday at the county commission.
March 20th. March sixth, yes, I'm sorry. It's March sixth.
And it was Momita.
Yes.
Thank you for your presentation. The recommended action is to review and provide feedback to MAPD staff and recommendations to the city council. I will pose first to the board. Are there any thoughts, questions, concerns, recommendations over the current presentation and proposal? Hearing none, we'll go to the public. Is there any input on what was presented on this evening?
Yes, that was a great presentation, by the way, but I'm not sure just exactly, is there a project in the works right now, or is this just something that could happen later on down the road?
As a part of this process, we are not discussing any particular application, no, and there is no application in process right now.
So there's nobody want to build a big solar plant in Wichita?
As a part of this process, we are not considering any particular project, no. This is for in general, review of the regulations in the unified zoning.
So if somebody comes up to you later on.
In future, we can.
That's,
You could presume that what started this process was somebody asking about
yeah, well,
a solar farm.
I know they want to do a wind generation farm a while back, but they mixed that.
Yeah, so how large is the typical solar farm? How many acres?
So when we reached out to the other counties and other cities, they do range from 20 acres to about 600 acres, something. They actually do have a variation in sizes and can be large.
Well, my concern would be that it takes up developable land. So you don't want the city to grow around one. I'm for them, but I don't want it right outside the city limits. Where the city inhibits the growth of the cities.
That was a discussion that came up at the grants plan as well as the board of county commissioners as well. Thank you for.
That would be my concern.
What kind of industries use this type of solar industry?
Sorry,
What kind of industries use this application?
Go right into the grid.
they go into the grid, the electricity.
Like Evergy would want to do something like this?
Yes, please.
Now, that's one of the questions that I'd like to have the answers to. It seems we build these wind farms and if we build this solar, then we ship the stuff to other states and sell it to them, and we don't get a benefit out of that. We should somehow tie that in. If that company sells it to other deals, we should get a feedback of some of that money to lower our utility rates. We belong to Sedgwick County Cooperative, and they use some solar energy. But a lot of people, it seems like we don't get the benefit that we should have for cheaper rates, is what I guess I'm saying. We're having those things here. And if we're gonna build it, we should make somehow that we get cheaper rates for having that wind farm or the solar farms. But the companies that have those and build them, they're more interested in the profits of selling those things.
Well, actually, when you wind generation, it generate wind, you can only transfer it so far.
Right,
It starts increasing. So Evergy, I think it's 59% of our energy. Evergy's grid is powered by wind.
Right, I understand that.
So
but then
we are
also
getting a lot of wind energy. We
We
should
also,
as Kansas.
we also
Yeah.
pay to build those transmission lines
Yep.
to those other places. We don't get the benefits back from what we're paying. That's what I guess I'm trying to say. And I think we should benefit more than sending that energy to some other city, state, or wherever it's needed. We should use it locally. That's what I'm preaching.
Is the fair market,
That'd be a good question. See how much they do sell to other places. If it's a
Yeah.
lot or if it's very little or.
Do you
That'd
follow
be a
those?
big question. Maybe we can get somebody from Evergy here and we can answer the question.
No, I think it's something worth checking to, because
Yeah.
I've seen that, we've studied some of those things, and a lot of it goes back, like I said, to other states instead of being used here in Kansas.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any big projects right now?
You got another question?
Not that we are considering right
No,
now.
well, it's already approved, it's already in use.
Sorry,
It's
if
in
it
use.
gets approved
Or
and
if that's in use right now.
there is nothing in the pipeline that I know of.
There's
that-
nothing in use right now.
And for this process, we haven't considered any particular project, or we haven't kept that in mind while doing this. So this is in general. Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess my question is a little bit kind of on top of his is, I've seen some in the past, some potential plans for these big, solar fields, and they're kind of scattered about. Sometimes there's land in between different, like parcels of land between that aren't included in these solar fields. And so my concern is the burden that you're kind of placing on cities, particularly the smaller cities with, say, in the future, if they ever want to incorporate that land, say the cost to get a water or sewer line to that property, you're not charging it to the solar panel parcels, correct? So the cost to get that water and sewer to those smaller parcels are significantly more to those landowners or put back onto the city to incorporate them. And that also goes for potential industries. So I don't know if that's ever been considered or.
I think from what I got from your comment was the urban growth area that the cities look at, like how much they're gonna grow in the next 20 years or so. So that has been a very significant part of the discussions, whether to do a ban on the urban growth areas or not. But then the Advanced Plan Committee and the MAPC recommended that it should be taken as a case-by-case basis through a conditional use permit. And additional conditions can be imposed on the particular solar project if they feel that's required.
I suppose I'm less concerned about the growth of the community, more so like landowners who don't necessarily excel to like a solar company, for example, like they hold on, so they're kind of surrounded effectively by the solar field. If they ever were to want to get like a city sewer or city service, like sewer or water, the cost to them would be exponentially more because they're not being served by the surrounding areas will never be developed, and so they're not getting served. So it's kind of just the burden of cost for those who pulled out and don't sell to the solar fields.
Thank
Correct
you.
me if I'm wrong, but I think whoever needs that service has to pay for that, to get that service.
They do, yeah. So sometimes, yeah. Sometimes they have to pay for like a water service line or it's just
Gas line, whatever.
gas line, yeah. And a lot of times that cost is shared through everyone that it's serving. And but if they're solar fields and they will never serve anybody, then you're really prohibiting and someone might never get the opportunity to.
Thank you for the feedback. I'm just noting it down on my notes, but then just to answer you, there's a possibility of having utility easements and stuffs like that in the conditional use process that can be imposed on case-by-case basis if that's required. So that's what the recommendation came out after the discussion at the MPC regarding it. So,
It's a good point, though.
yeah.
Ma'am, did you have a question?
This is the second time I've sat through this. I go to the Sustainability Integration Board meetings. And I've been very impressed how comprehensive this group has gone through in details. And it seems that we're very open to reading all the comments that the public brought in, and they brought in quite a bit. The one thing I would add that I learned at the board meeting was that a lot of these small communities, their growth is probably not going to grow as much as they are anticipating according to this map. And at some point, they will have to reassess their growth. So, so having that extra area around it may not be quite the same, but these smaller communities like to think they're going to grow a lot, but they're saying they probably aren't. But thank you very much. I think you guys did a great job.
Thank you so much. Any other questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
There, bringing it back from the audience to the board, are there no comments, recommendations? With that being said, we don't have an action to deliver in terms of that capacity. Us as a board, we can get in touch with Councilman Johnston and forward any thoughts or concerns to him, and then he can forward those to you if there's additional comments from the board.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. All right, we have reached the last item on the agenda for the evening. There is a proposal on the table to move our start time, ladies and gentlemen, from bat 6:30 to bat 6 p.m. Before we go off to any motions or anything of that nature, is there any discussion about the proposed potential time change? Like it, love it, don't like it?
Love it. Yeah, I would love it. 5:55 would be great.
Well, based upon.
Move it up another hour.
For us retired people, 8 o'clock in the morning is fine.
Well, then you can always show up tomorrow on Tuesday mornings downtown,
For what?
city council.
Oh, that's boring.
Oh.
I watched it online once, that was enough.
Very good.
So I will say, based upon the immediate feedback that was heard, I will offer a motion on the floor that we move the meetings to 6 o'clock. Is this effective going forward for the month of April? So then I'll put forward the motion then that effective April 2024. Teresa, if you could put down the date for finality and accuracy, we will meet at this place, 6 o'clock, date, the first, April 1st. So I put forth, looking for a second that we will officially move our DAB meetings from 6:30 to 6 p.m. Is there a second?
Second.
Very well. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. The motion shall carry unanimously, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time, your talent, your attention. We are dismissed.
And thank you, Trevor.
Thank you.
For serving.
Thank you, Trevor.
You got to make his last second. There you go.